longest letter we've ever received. This letter is almost a term paper. It is got to be, Dave, I'm going to say, I don't know.
It's long.
I'm going to say it's over 1,500 words.
It's long.
Could be
it's very well written.
It's well written and it's long.
Has a lot of points, but we just don't have the time to go over them all.
No. And he doesn't even ask a question. He's just kind of going over stuff. So I'm just going to briefly skim here. Peter, if you don't mind, he said that he stumbled across our podcast and that he played the first 3 episodes and he was intrigued by what he heard and he wanted to give us some viewpoints from a fan in New Zealand. And he said he really didn't know about Sammy when he came into the band. He had no idea who he really was. He had never heard of him before Van Halen. And then he got into the whole different kind of truth thing, and he was saying he was thrilled when he heard Tattoo, but not so much due to whether the fact that it was great, indifferent, or a bad song. He said it's pretty good, but not terrific. But more finally that Van Halen had an album coming out, so he was excited about that. He said the album he felt suffers somewhat for lack of Michael Anthony's vocals. He says Wolfgang is good and acquits himself pretty well, but I don't think he's quite in the same league as Anthony. And then he said he needs to read Van Halen Rising, but he needs to get a copy of it. I certainly say that you should definitely get that. Also get Noel's book and Greg's other book on Ted. Those are definitely essential reading for sure. He also said in regarding the Sam versus Dave battle, who's better, he says they each have their good and bad points, and personally I can't find enough to like about both of them. He says drop it, the whole thing's irrelevant, he feels, and he says Roth is a better showman and Hagar is a better singer, but Roth has far more creative lyrics, and he says Gary Sharon gets marks for being the only one who could sing material from both eras. He says one of his disappointments about the band is that the years of endless silence from the brothers, that they've taken some massive liberties with the fans over the years, and when they are ready again, and there is a little by way of explanation or apology as to why it's been so silent for so long, and they thought Van Halen's whole replacing Michael Anthony in the Roth era songs on like the Rockstar games, and when they changed the cover of the album, and they also ignored the Hagar era and also ignored the Sharon era. He thought, wasn't cool, and he thinks the brothers are only sullying their reputation by trying to retrospectively pretend that Anthony, Hagar, and Sharon didn't exist. He said that he hopes the brothers can get off their high horse and just hang out and be friends again with Hagar and Anthony. He says, as for me, I'm jealous that you guys had the opportunity to see the various lineups through the years as well as solo performances. Being on this side of the equator, the only tour I saw was the Van Halen 3 tour in 1998. He says they played the North Shore Events Center, he says, which had a seating capacity of just over 4,000. He said it was relatively an intimate evening, and I remember coming away from that show feeling somewhat underwhelmed. They were good, but not fantastic. Then he sent us a picture of a bench that he created for his pop-up caravan, which had a whole Eddie Van Halen thing. So, Peter, listen, your letter was really long, and I really appreciate your writing in, and especially from New Zealand and listening from New Zealand, and I hope you get a lot out of the podcast. There's a lot to listen to. There's a lot of back episodes for you to check out. So we welcome you aboard. We appreciate your comments. In the future, if you want to write in, just shorten the letters up, buddy. That's all we ask. You can check out the past episodes on iTunes or Spreaker.com or Spotify. They're all there free, and you can check them out. But it was good to hear from you and to keep the Van Halen flag flying on that side of the globe. What do you say, Dave?
Thank you for taking the time to write the letter. Appreciate it. You're obviously a very dedicated fan. And thanks for listening all the way from halfway around the world. Keep on rocking.
That's right. So we come to letter number 3, and that's from Colin Flynn from Los Angeles. He says, hey guys, what's your knowledge of the failed 2000 reunion with David Lee Roth? There is hardly any mention of it anywhere besides a random Michael Anthony statement regarding when it happened, and it's also listed on their Wikipedia page. However, it didn't get a lot of press. It was never talked about amongst Dave or Ed anywhere. Can you guys share? That is, if you have any intel on this, keep up the excellent job on the podcast. Thank you, you guys. I don't feel as alone in the world as there seems to be at least 2 other individuals just as sick as me when it comes to their love and knowledge of regarding everything Van Halen. I look forward to every episode and continue success to you both. Take care, Colin Flynn. Well, that was really nice, Colin. Thank you so much for writing in. in regards to the 2000 reunion, that's very much a mystery, you know. Everybody knows what happened about the 1996 reunion with Dave, because it was very public on MTV with the whole mess in front of the press and on TV and that whole thing. Well, this is what we know. So we heard that one of the songs they worked on together in the studio was Up for Breakfast, which is obviously not Up for Breakfast, but it's the music portion and not Sammy talking about how he wants to bang his wife in the morning. My God, those lyrics. We also had heard that it kind of broke down on Ed's side a little bit, maybe possibly dealing with his alcoholism at the time. Apparently, there's something like 3 songs that exist that were recorded and finished, but never have seen the light of day. However, Eddie was quoted in Maximum Golf magazine around that time regarding that reunion, and he said, this is a quote from Eddie, "Everything looked pretty positive about getting together, but before you know it, the attorneys are involved, and everything seemed to fall apart after these guys got involved. I mean, we used to do it on a handshake. At this point, I don't even have a clue what's going on." And David Lee Roth, via his website during that time, said they played together in 2000 once or twice, and it sounded amazing. So that's all we know, man. Do you know any more, Dave?
No, I don't know much more than that. That was one of those things that was very hush-hush at the time.
Yeah, very hush-hush, yeah.
They're really, there's nothing has ever leaked out. I was under the impression it was more than 3 songs.
Oh, really?
I always thought it was like, somewhere around 5 or a half a dozen or something.
Oh, really?
But I really don't know. I know Michael Anthony has them. I mean, I don't know for a fact, but from what I've read, I'm under the impression, because I seem to remember reading something where he's like, yeah, I have them, but I'm never going to put them out because that's, it's not right. It's, they're just, demos basically. We'll see it on the box set if we live long enough.
Yeah, right. Okay, good luck. The whole world is ending and this box set's going to come out. I mean, it's ridiculous. But you know what kills me about this stuff, and this is what we talked about in the past, is like, I mean, this stuff is all just going to end up in the garbage. And that's what fucking kills me about all of this fucking shit. All of this stuff, everybody's saving, like, oh, we have that recording from 1984 when we recorded in the midnight hour, or the 2000 reunion, or this or that, or the whole other album we did with Gary Sharon. All that, it's just going to end up in the garbage. It's going to end up in the fucking garbage. And it's so fucking sad because there's so many goddamn people that would love to hear this shit. And the bottom line is, here's how you release it. You don't release it like an album. You say, this is odds and sods, as the Who once said when they put out an album. Right. Odds and sods, or, hey guys, I know you guys been talking about this and, for years and years, and we decided to put a whole compilation together with all this bucket of stuff. Do with it what you will. It's unfinished, it's unpolished, it's raw, but we figured maybe you guys would get a kick out of it. That's the kind of way you approach it.
Right.
That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
Sadly, no.
Sadly, no. That's right. It's going to be in the garbage. So everybody check out the garbage outside Mike's house. Maybe we can find it one day. And letter number 4 comes from Paul Davis. And he says, "Hi, Dave and Dave. I listened to this recent Discovery podcast about a really talented musician who made this Hot for Waldo YouTube video. Entertaining listening. But there is still a mystery. Who was this kid actor who played Waldo in Hot for Teacher? It seems just like the type of fact-finding mission suited for your talents. Thanks, guys. Be well, and hope to see you when this is all behind. Best regards, Paul Davis." Paul was one of the guys that was in Vegas with us, Dave.
Right.
Okay, so Waldo was played by Keith Kessinger. Okay, so that's Keith, last name Kessinger. Not to be confused with the Major League Baseball player from the Cincinnati Reds with the same name. And the voice was done by the late Phil Hartman from Saturday Night Live. Right. And the rumor is that Hot for Waldo video is him. So, I don't know, man. That's what I heard. You asked me a question. I'm giving you an answer. This is what I heard. And if that Hot for Waldo video is a guy who looks like Waldo in black and white performing the Hot for Teacher song. I don't know. Check it out. Hot for Waldo on YouTube. And here's a clip.
Waldo, first question. Why aren't you using the red, white, striped guitar? Aw, man. What do you think I am? A dork?
What do you think, Dave?
Do I think it's the same guy?
Well, I don't know. Have you heard anything about this?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't. It's a mystery to me. I really don't know.
Okay. Well, we're on to letter number 5, and that's from Stu Wade. And he says, hello from Melbourne, Australia. Love the podcast. Just wanted to run 2 things past you. Firstly, do you think Eddie gets a lot of unnecessary hate lately? To me, it seems like he is painted as the bad guy these days. People should focus on all the joy he has brought us instead. He seems to get a lot of grief over Mikey, but Dave, Al, and Sammy never did anything to stop Mike's contributions being lessened either. In fact, Dave never wanted anything to do with Mike on the Sam and Dave tour. So why is it all on Ed? I find it hard to accept that someone who donates guitars to schools, has multiple charity causes, and picked up Jason Becker's medical bills can be a bad guy. Maybe people are listening to Sammy too much. I mean, really, why do all the people put so much faith in what this guy says? He claims to be abducted by aliens. Just saying. The second point is around the band name Van Halen. I strongly disagree that they should have changed it with Sammy, or even originally called the band Mammoth. If they had officially renamed it to Van Hagar, then why don't you feel Roth might have tried taking the Van Halen name with him during the 90s or even during the early 2000s? And once Van Halen reformed with Dave, don't you feel Sammy would be doing everything to take the Van Hagar name? And if the band was called Mammoth, I think this would only increase those possibilities. The last thing we need is for Van Halen fans to deal with what Rat and LA Guns have gone through. Just my thoughts. Keep up the great work. Regards, Stu Wade. Well, Stu, you have interesting points, my friend. That is for sure. Number one, the Michael Anthony issue. Sammy has always stuck up for Mike. He has employed him in Chickenfoot. He has employed him in the Circle. He wouldn't do the Van Halen reunion in 2004 without him. So I can't say anything about Sam. Sam has gone on record. He has gone on YouTube and said, shame on you, Eddie, for doing what you did to Mike. I mean, he really went out of his way for Mike. So I don't think you can say a word about Sam.
No, I mean, he is Mike's biggest cheerleader.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And biggest fan, and he's a good friend. Okay, David Lee Roth. He said in Rolling Stone, actually, that he wanted to reunite the original 4. And he even said that when Wolfie was in the band, which is balls considering that his dad is Ed. He did say that. Now, was he wrong for not performing with Sam and Mike on that tour in 2002? Abso-fucking-lutely. In fact, I think even if he didn't perform with Sam, I think Dave should have brought Mike out for some songs during his set. I think that would have been really cool. But, look, that never happened. I agree. He's dead wrong there, for sure. Just so Josh knows that I noted that was against Dave. So we're just counting up the beans over here. I'm just kidding, Josh. I'm just breaking balls, dude. And also Alex Van Halen. All right. Alex just goes along with whatever Eddie does. Now, Ed also wanted to play with his son. He wanted his son in the band, you know. And he was pissed off that he gets a writing credit. So now Ed writes, Dave writes, Alex gets a freebie pass, and then Mikey's the bad guy. So, whatever. What can I tell you? In regards to why everybody listens to Sam, let me address that. Because Sam is the only one who speaks in the band, okay? Mike's quiet. He's like the quiet guy in the background. Gary, he don't want to know nothing from nobody. Wolf and Alex follow Eddie. Eddie's quiet, okay? Dave has been quiet. Okay, Dave has been quiet. He's been pretty quiet about stuff, except for the most recent things he's talked a little bit about. You know, Dave got a little annoyed recently about waiting around for the brothers. But other than that,
but he was still respectful. It wasn't like he was,
no.
Still
Still respectful.